Welcome to Head, Heart, Homefront, brought to you by the Barry Robinson Center, the country's leading behavioral health residential treatment center for military kids. I'm your host, Erin Lindstrom, and I'm so glad you're here. The Barry Robinson Center created this interview series to celebrate Military Family Month. We're bringing together mental health leaders to chat about building resiliency and healthy, happy families through the ups and downs of military life. We know military life can be challenging for our kids, and it can also present amazing opportunities. In these conversations, we talk about tips, tools, and techniques to navigate the highs and lows for both you and your children. The conversations have been incredible, and we are so excited to share this episode with you. Hey, I'm Erin Lindstrom, and welcome back to the final episode of Head, Heart, Homefront for this season. We are so grateful that you have shown up and listened and hopefully enjoyed the series so far. And in today's episode, I want to just take a minute to kind of look at the three main themes that came out of the different conversations and take a moment to reflect with you, because this has been a really incredible experience. I know for me, absolutely. And I hope you've taken something away from this too. So as you learned throughout the series, my name's Erin, and I am a mom of two kids who are 6 and 7. We are part of a military connected family. We have a blended family where my ex-husband is enlisted and so is his wife. And so I'm still connected to the military, even though I'm about a foot outside. It's still a very real part of my kid's life. And so it's something that we're, always kind of navigating. And when I started these conversations for Head, Heart, Homefront, I knew that they would be good conversations, but I didn't know how much they would really touch me and really be impactful, especially during this time as we're navigating COVID. And, resiliency was a huge theme here. And I thought it was so important, some of the moments that I had with our different guests. So I want to talk about that for a minute and kind of just explore some of the takeaways that were here. And I would love to hear from you too. So please leave a comment or leave us a review if you're listening to the podcast and let us know, what did you really take away from this series? I know when it comes to resiliency, we talked a lot about how resiliency is a muscle and it's built, and it's really about the art of bouncing back. And the most important piece of building that muscle is connection. And I know for me, this was so refreshing because as we're navigating, virtual school and a limited world in this moment, or at least that's what it feels like, the importance of connection was such a beautiful reminder, because as parents, we're always thinking about our kids, their achievements and their level of safety and, how are they feeling? How are they experiencing? And also, are they meeting our expectations? And I just thought this was such a beautiful reminder from Stephanie Osler that it's not about that, especially right now. And especially in transitional periods, like there are things more important than the things that we usually look for to kind of check in with our kids. And so what comes up in my mind, of course, is grades, right? And really looking at that and knowing that actually, like, the emotional connection is the most important thing that we can work on right now, because the grades are always going to be there. Everything else, life will be there. But the power of your relationship is so incredibly important. Sarah Smiley also talked about connection in our interview. And, one of the things she did was she invited people over to her house every single week while her husband was deployed. And the way that she talked about kind of like overcoming perfectionism in that, I just thought was so beautiful, because while we might not be spending too much time with people indoors, right? But having people over and just connecting, whether it's in your yard or going for a walk, and kind of releasing the need for everything to be perfect is so important. Like, our kids are never going to behave perfectly every single time, and that's okay. And I think we forget that we're all humans and that we're all okay with a level of imperfection. And so really just kind of opening up and asking yourself, like, okay, how can I connect with someone? How can I show them that I'm here, right? And kind of like be the one maybe to take the next step in building a relationship. I thought that was beautiful. And then, of course, we had Dr. Anna Crane, who spoke all about the power of play. And I thought this was such a beautiful reminder that, oh yeah, this is supposed to be fun. I think so many times we are stressed and there are, multiple balls that we are juggling, trying to get everything done between work and school and food and keeping the house clean and staying in contact with our service members if they're away. Like there's a lot of moving pieces to all of this. And the power of play is something that is really incredible. I read recently, I think it was Brene Brown in Daring to Lead. She said something that was, and I might mess this up a little bit, but it was that the opposite of play isn't work, it's depression. And I think this is so interesting, especially as we're kind of navigating survival mode right now as a nation, to have that reminder of how can we pass a ball around? Can we play a game? Can we do something light where we are just being connected and being present? Because those moments are so important. And that's really where, healing occurs and where we can show up for each other in a way that's different when we're, than when we're trying to do all of the doing. So I really love that. So that was kind of resiliency. The second theme that I really felt come through in many of my conversations was this idea of it taking a village, the fact that we need more than just ourselves, right? And Sylvia Muller did a beautiful job talking about this in conjunction with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and how mentors are a really important piece of the puzzle. And their official slogan or tagline is defending potential. And that really struck me because we all have potential, like each and every single one of us, all of our kids, all of our friends. And that is something that doesn't go away necessarily. But sometimes it needs to be protected, right? Otherwise, it's just within us. And I really think living your potential is about embodying that, right? And expressing yourself, taking chances, following your passion. So I just thought that was a beautiful thing to bring in, where all of the pressure doesn't have to be on the parents necessarily, right? And even if we're living away from our family members, there are other people out there who would love to be a part of your kid's life and to just show up as one of their fans, right? And one of their friends, which is really beautiful. Amanda Yoder also talked about school counselors and the incredible resource that they can be. And that was so eye-opening to me. If you listen to the episode, you heard me have a moment even where I referred to them as guidance counselors. And we had this beautiful moment where she kind of educated me around what a school counselor is and how it's different, and why their services have kind of expanded over the years. And it was incredible. And so just knowing that, oh, there's people at my kids' school who care about them and who are trained to help with their specific needs and challenges was just a beautiful reminder that the village is bigger than you think it is. And there are people literally waiting around you who would love to support you. You just have to ask the right questions, right? We also had Dr. Becky Porter, which was another phenomenal conversation. And she made the connection between joy at home and national security. And that just kind of, opened my mind to, oh, our village is even bigger than we think it is. So many times, or at least in my mind, right? Maybe this isn't for everyone, but I was kind of thinking about the village as far as who's supporting my family. But she really opened my mind to, oh, this is, really about our nation, and how are we supporting the men and women who are serving every day. And part of that is giving them the peace of mind that their families are taken care of. So it's interesting how our villages overlap, and we're all really here to take care of each other. Another amazing conversation was with Samantha Hagen-Lingdad, and she is from United Through Reading. And hearing about this, and even the way technology can be used right now to connect families with technology through reading is amazing, right? And again, to me, that's just oh, the village is bigger than you think. Technology can actually help us be together. And reading doesn't, it's larger, or it can be anyway, than just you reading with your child. Books really do have the power to connect us, and that doesn't require two people to be in the same room, right? So this idea of having a global village where we are connected with other people who may be far away, I just think is beautiful. And then, of course, I can't forget Ginny Rodriguez, who also spoke about really creating your circle. And she was speaking about it in terms of being a military spouse and meeting other ones. And one of the points she made that I found fascinating was just that from her experience, and she's now a grandmother, and has years and years of experience, but she was talking about how technology in some ways has made that connection harder, or it has its own complications, right? And so I just really appreciate the idea too that connections can be made both online and off. And to kind of check in with myself, and also I invite you to check in with yourself around how are you connecting with people right now. Would it be helpful to maybe go online a bit more and to show up in the groups and to nurture some relationships? Or on the other hand, if you're missing out on in life, real life, your neighbors, right, the people who are actually around you at the same base as you or in the same geographic region, how can you kind of show up and be the friendly face for someone else, because that's how it comes back to you. So I love that as well. The third big theme that really came throughout Head Heart Homefront for me was that support is out there, right? And Lizette Burton did an amazing job speaking about residential treatment centers and how they can be a part of the village as well, right? So if you have a family member who is needing extra support, there are places that will partner with you in healing for your child. And I just thought that was so beautiful and a wonderful perspective to have. And then, of course, we had Rob McCartney, who is the CEO of the Barry Robinson Center. And the way that he spoke about, number one, the need for transparency within care, right, and healing, I thought was just remarkable. And also the way that he spoke about asking questions and kind of giving parents starting places to navigating a space where you may never have thought you would have ended up, right? And so coming back to that, I just thought it was beautiful and educational and so helpful. So I would love to thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up, for joining me through these conversations, for being here for conversations around resiliency and the village and the support, and for being who you are in your family and in your life and showing up and, really shining and being of service, which is all about love. So thank you so much for being here. Please let us know what you thought of Head Heart Homefront, and I hope to see you soon. You've been listening to Head Heart Homefront, a production from the Barry Robinson Center, the country's leading behavioral health residential treatment center for military kids. Many times, kids with behavioral and mental health issues don't improve with typical treatment options in their community. Families may need to consider long-term residential care, and this is where the Barry Robinson Center excels. They're a mission-focused nonprofit organization based in Virginia. Their residential center is the only one in the country that works exclusively with military kids. They understand the military community, as many of their employees are military connected. Their high-quality treatment includes a wide range of services to help improve the lives of children. If your child needs additional support, check out barryrobinson.org. Navigating mental health can be challenging, and we want you to know that you do not have to do it alone. Thank you so much for listening to Head Heart Homefront. If you've enjoyed this episode, please let us know with a 5-star review if you're listening to the podcast, or a like, comment, or share if you're listening on Facebook or YouTube. Until next time, be well.